when destiny whispers, when bloodlines awaken from centuries of silence, some are born to hide, and some to rise. This is the Beta's Hidden Heirs. Part 4. Secrets of the Bloodline. The sun dipped below the dense pines of storm-veiled territory, casting long shadows across the cobblestone courtyard. The grand halls of the Alpha's estate buzzed with a strange, tense energy, one that Seraphina could feel deep in her bones. It wasn't just nerves anymore. Something ancient, something powerful, was stirring inside her. Gideon had called for a private meeting that night. Only Seraphina, the pack's elder historian, and himself were to attend. As she stepped into the candlelit study, a heavy book lay open on the mahogany table, its pages yellowed and delicate. "Sit," Gideon instructed gently, his voice thick with a seriousness Seraphina wasn't used to hearing. The elder, a wiry, sharp-eyed woman named Selene, wasted no time. "You must understand, child," she began. "Your existence was never meant to be ordinary." Seraphina's heart thudded in her chest. She glanced at Gideon, who gave a small nod of encouragement. "You are the last living descendant of the moon-blooded," Selene said, tracing her gnarled finger along a family tree that seemed impossibly old. "The... what?" Seraphina whispered. Selene's eyes gleamed under the candlelight. "The moon-blooded were a sacred line, blessed by Selene herself, the goddess of the moon. They carried gifts unlike any other werewolves, healing beyond mortal limits, strength rivaling alphas, fertility that could produce twins, or even triplets." Seraphina stumbled back a step, the revelation crashing over her. Her babies. They weren't just a fluke of nature. They were a prophecy fulfilled. "But," she shook her head, voice trembling, "my parents were traitors to their own blood," Selene finished for her. "Hunted by those who feared the power you now possess. They hid you among betas to protect you." The room spun. For years, Seraphina had believed herself unworthy, lower, disposable. Now, it turned out she was more valuable than she could have ever imagined. Gideon stepped forward, his towering presence suddenly feeling reverent. "I suspected there was more to you," he said, cupping her trembling hands in his. "That's why your scent drove me insane from the moment I caught it. You're not just my mate, Seraphina. You're my destiny." Tears welled in her eyes, not from sadness, but from understanding, from acceptance. All her life, she had been abandoned, lied to, and hidden away. Now she knew why. Because she was powerful. Because she was meant for something greater. Selene's voice cut through the moment. "But beware, child. Power is a beacon. Enemies who once hunted your ancestors will rise again when they sense your awakening." Seraphina squared her shoulders. She wasn't a frightened beta anymore. She was moon-blooded, a mother, a mate, a fighter. "I won't hide anymore," she said, voice steady. Gideon smiled, a rare, soft thing that made him seem almost human for a heartbeat. "And you won't stand alone." Later that night, as she lay in Gideon's arms, Seraphina dreamt of silver wolves under a blood-red moon, their howls echoing in the night. A warning, or a promise. Days passed, and the Stormveil pack shifted around her like pieces of a puzzle. Where once there had been suspicion, now there was reverence. Warriors trained harder, scouts patrolled farther. Everyone sensed the change, even if they didn't yet understand it. But not everyone celebrated. In the dark woods beyond the estate, figures cloaked in shadows watched and waited. One among them, the The sorceress Malus, known for her hatred of the moon-blooded, smiled cruelly as she carved symbols into the dirt with a dagger made of obsidian. "The bloodline awakens," Malus hissed, "and so must we." Meanwhile, Seraphina stood before the council of elders, her heart pounding like a war drum. "You must bond with the Alpha fully," Elder Marcus demanded. "It is the only way to protect yourself and the future heirs from what's coming." Seraphina's face burned. She understood the importance of the ritual, but she also knew, once the mark was placed, there would be no turning back. Her life would be bound to Gideon's for eternity. Gideon caught her hesitation and squeezed her hand under the table. "It's your choice," he whispered. "Always." Tears pricked her eyes. For the first time in her life, someone was giving her the power to choose her fate. "I choose you," she said aloud, her voice ringing strong. The council murmured, some pleased, others skeptical, but Seraphina didn't care. For once, she wasn't seeking approval. She was claiming her future. That night, under the full moon, the marking ceremony began. Seraphina knelt before Gideon, the ancient runes of the moon-blooded painted in silver across her bare skin. He leaned down, his fangs brushing the tender spot between her neck and shoulder, and bit. The pain was swift and searing, but it faded just as quickly into a warmth that spread through her entire being. A bond formed, stronger than iron, more sacred than vows. They were no longer just alpha and mate. They were king and queen of Storm Vale, and together, they would face whatever darkness dared to rise. From the ashes of betrayal, from the secrets of forgotten bloodlines, a queen is born. And the storm is only beginning. Some storms are not made of thunder and rain. Some are born deep within the heart, wild, restless, and impossible to silence. Tonight, under the gaze of the silent moon, Seraphina faced a tempest no warrior could prepare for. Seraphina sat alone in the vast gardens of Stormvale Estate. Moonlight bathed the marble paths in a cold, ethereal glow. Her hands cradled her growing belly as questions spiraled in her mind. Gideon had claimed the unborn twins as his heirs. But what did that truly mean? For her? For them? She wasn't just a vessel. She was their mother, their protector, their only constant. The soft crunch of footsteps broke her spiral. Gideon appeared, cutting through the mist like a force of nature. His silver eyes guarded yet holding something else tonight. Fear? Regret? Possession? "You should be resting," he said, his voice low. "I can't rest," she replied sharply, standing. "Not when my future's being decided without me." "You claim these children are yours, but they are mine too. I won't be pushed aside." Silence, thick, charged. Then Gideon stepped closer. His voice was rough, honest. "I would never push you aside. You are important." He seemed to choke on the word. Seraphina crossed her arms, unmoved. "You say that now, but what happens when a woman with a dormant wolf, don't fit your perfect legacy?" His jaw clenched. "You're stronger than any wolf I've ever known. Your strength isn't in teeth and claws. It's here." He placed his hand over her heart. The contact sent a jolt through her. Before she could speak, thunder rumbled overhead. A storm was coming, fast, and it mirrored the one inside her. "Gideon," she whispered. Something stirred within, primal, ancient, her wolf. He noticed. His eyes widened. "You're awakening," he murmured. "The bond between us, it's waking your wolf." Seraphina stumbled back. "Number..." This isn't supposed to happen. I'm broken. You are not broken. Gideon's voice crashed over her like thunder. Alpha power. Undeniable. Lightning split the sky. Rain poured down, soaking them both. He reached for her. She recoiled. I need time, she gasped, clutching her stomach, protective, fierce. For me. For them. Gideon's hand dropped. His voice. Gravel, rain, resolve. I'll give you time. But know this, Seraphina. You and the twins are mine to protect. Always. He turned and vanished into the storm, leaving her trembling as the echoes of destiny howled around her. In the days that followed, Seraphina wrestled with the bond growing inside her. Gideon kept his distance, but he was everywhere. A shadow in the halls, a presence in the gardens, a warmth that lingered in the cold silence of the mansion. And each night, her dreams grew wilder. Silver wolves running through misty forests, two small cubs at her side, and Gideon, always just out of reach. She woke each morning confused, frightened, and yet more certain than ever that something inside her had changed. Irrevocably, undeniably. But change comes with choices. Would she embrace it or fight it, even if it meant losing everything she loved? Some storms come to break us, others come to reveal who we truly are. And Seraphina's storm was just beginning. Sometimes, the bonds we fear most are the ones we cannot live without. Sometimes, destiny writes its will into our very blood, and there is no undoing what has been written. The following days passed in a haze. Seraphina tried to build a wall between herself and Gideon. But it was like trying to hold back a tide with her bare hands. Everywhere she turned, he was there, watching, waiting, guarding. Worse, her wolf had truly awakened. At first it was subtle, sharper hearing, keener instincts. But soon, it was impossible to ignore. When Gideon entered a room, her heart pounded with an ancient primal rhythm. She hated it and needed it, more than she could admit. One evening, as the sun bled across the horizon in a symphony of crimson and gold, Seraphina found herself drawn to the old training grounds behind the estate. The air was thick with the scent of rain and earth. She stood in the center of the field, barefoot in the soft grass, her hands curled into fists. You feel it, don't you? Gideon's voice rumbled from behind her. She didn't turn around. I don't know what you're talking about. You feel the bond between us, between you and the twins. It's alive. It's real. Seraphina closed her eyes, feeling the truth of his words in every fiber of her being. It terrified her. I didn't ask for this, she whispered, voice trembling. I never wanted a bond. I just wanted freedom. Gideon moved closer, each step slow, deliberate. Freedom and love are not enemies, Seraphina. You can have both. She spun on him, eyes flashing. Love? You think this is love? You chose me because I was convenient, because my bloodline is pure enough to bear your heirs. Gideon flinched, as if she had struck him. His face darkened, shadows pooling in his silver gaze. I chose you because you survived what would have broken any other wolf, he said, voice low and fierce. I chose you because your spirit refused to be crushed, even when the world tried to shatter you. I chose you because you were strong enough to carry a future neither of us understand yet. The rawness in his words cracked something inside her. She looked away, blinking hard against the sudden sting of tears. A heavy silence stretched between them, before Gideon spoke again, softer this time. "You are bound to me, Seraphina, not by force, not by chains, by blood, by fate." At that moment, a sharp, searing pain tore through her abdomen. She gasped, falling to her knees. Gideon was at her side in an instant. "Seraphina! What's happening?" She clutched at her stomach, her breath coming in short, ragged gasps. "The twins! Something's wrong." Without hesitation, Gideon scooped her into his arms and ran. His speed inhuman, his strength absolute. Through the corridors of the estate, past startled guards and servants, until he reached the private medical wing. The pack's healer, a stern, graying wolf named Heirs, was already waiting as if sensing the coming storm. "Lay her down," Heirs barked, his hands already glowing faintly with healing magic. Gideon placed Seraphina on the padded table, refusing to let go of her hand, even as Heirs worked. "What's happening to her?" Gideon demanded. Heirs glanced at him sharply. "Her wolf is fully awakening, and so are the twins. Their powers are manifesting too soon. She's caught between transformations." Seraphina cried out, her body arching off the table as invisible forces warred inside her. Gideon leaned close, murmuring soothing words, his grip firm and steady. "You can do this," he whispered fiercely. "You're the strongest person I've ever known. You can do this." Hours passed like lifetimes. Finally, when Seraphina's screams faded into hoarse sobs, Heirs stepped back, wiping sweat from his brow. "It is done," he said grimly. "She and the twins are stable. For now. But the bond between all three of them is permanent. There's no turning back." Gideon nodded, his jaw tight, his gaze locked on Seraphina's sleeping form. No turning back. Even if she hated him for it, even if she rejected the bond, they were bound. Body, mind, and soul. And the greatest battles were still to come. Some ties are forged by choice, others by destiny's relentless hand. Seraphina's path was no longer hers alone. And neither was her heart.